Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Ramble On with your host Brandon Meese and co-host
Mary Meese.
Yep. We're going to ramble on about something today that's annoying the crap out of us. Government. Try not to laugh, yeah. So this week's is the other co-host guy, George. He's busy, so we're having to pick up his slack. Depending on when he can come back, you might hear more terrible jokes from him. Until then, we have your, beautiful Brandon here. So awesome. So pretty. Yes, I am. And, the almost as equally pretty co-host, Mary.
He's really not full of himself.
Yeah, I'm modest. So yeah, anyways, government assistance is and is not fun. Today's is mostly just going to be a rant, basically, about how annoying and messed up government assistance is in many of the programs, whether it's food stamps, cash aid, Social Security, disability. I mean, anything that the government tries to give you and take away at the same time. Whether it's you're on disability, but they're not going to pay you for another 2 months. So, do you lose your house between then? How do you fix it between then? And what happens if they try to deny your claim, saying no, you're too, healthy to have disability right now? And then there's always, food stamps. How can a family of 4 with only one person working only get $200 in food stamps for all family? How does that work? And why is the government so far behind in updating their, what would you call it, money allotment for you to get assistance? I don't think it's been updated in about 20 years. So, they're always screwing people over. I mean, I can give you an instance. When I didn't have a job, my wife didn't have a job, we were on for a few months cash aid, and we'll probably be forever on food stamps, but cash aid. They said for Riverside County in California, Riverside County, you can only be given $600 a month.
For a family of 3. Because back then we only had 3.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, everybody only gets a $5,000 limit for their lifetime. Lifetime. $5,000 limit. Now, that seems kind of screwy, because if you have to pay rent on a house, on anything, even if they gave you like $1,000 a month in cash aid, how could you pay your mortgage or your rent?
You can't. You'll be living in the crappiest house that needs so much work to be done. But they don't care about that. They care about numbers.
Yeah, and it's like, how can you even immediately move to a lower income place if you can't? There's no way. It's like, if I'm paying $1,200 a month for a 2-bedroom house, I'm renting, and they're like, yeah, you only get $800 a month. Then how do I pay rent? Not a problem. But this is supposed to be government assistance. So, can you assist me with more money so I can keep where I'm living at and not have to move onto the street? No. But we do have a once in your lifetime homeless program, to where if you're homeless and only work once in your entire lifetime, we will give you a place to live temporarily for only a few months, usually up to 3 to 4 months. Now, once in your lifetime doesn't seem very helpful. I mean, it's like, yeah, an emergency, but it's a set limit. You only get a few months. How does that help? If you're on cash assistance, you're only getting $600 a month for a family of 3. because both of you lost your jobs in this that ridiculous recession we had. That was stupid.
And it's not even that. It's the fact that, with this emergency housing, if you have kids and you can't find anything else in that 3 to 4 months, you're on the street. And then California has a no tolerance. They only let you have your kids on the, without a roof over their head for so long. And then they swoop in and take your kids from you, even though you're trying to do stuff. So it's like it's a lose-lose situation, especially out here in California.
So, like, if you both lost your job, somehow magically, or even one lost your job, and they only give you $600 a month of cash aid and whatever the other guy makes, or girl, whatever, still not enough. So then, what do? You have this kid or kids. Do you A, immediately pack everything up, put into a storage shed, live in your car until someone finds out and calls CPS on you, has your kids taken away? Well, what about Section 8 housing? No, there's a 5-year waiting list at minimum. What about emergencies? Well, then a 2-year waiting list.
We know we're on the 5-year waiting list.
And it just keeps going farther and farther. Because even sometimes to suspend the program because there's too many people needing it. They're like, oh, there's not enough funds, we're cutting back. There was a time where Section 8 housing was not available for, it was like 7 years? Because there was no, quote, budget for it. So you can't afford it. The government's giving you crap assistance, and it's somehow your fault. Yeah, because the economy's totally like that. It's always the people's fault and not the economy itself.
We are going to be bugged in a minute.
I mean, not really. Our kids are in the other room. They're being good. We have a monitor to watch them with audio and video, and there's 4 cameras. And they're being good. But anyways, there's no help. Oh, and if you have any money or savings bonds, or if you're attached to somebody else's checking account as like, in case they die, you get their money, they find out and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You were instantly kicked off, and guess what? Any assistance you were getting for the past 6 months, now you owe it back to us. Oh, with interest. You can't pay it? We'll just garnish it out of your wages. What? That makes it so you can't even afford the house you're living at? Oh, well. Oh, now you have to be kicked out? Oh, well. Now you're living on the streets? Well, better take your kids away from you because you're not fit parents. Then what are you supposed to do? Exactly.
Sit here and cry.
Yeah. Maybe try to beg if you have any friends or family that will let you live with them for a while.
Seriously, what I think all of these government assistants should do? Okay, so what I was saying is, I think what they should do is when you immediately sign up for anything like SSI, food stamps, cash aid, to where they're going to ask you, do you have this, do you have that? Because sometimes as young adults, we might not know everything that our parents might have done for us. Like if our parents or grandparents got us savings bonds and they kept them, how do we know about those? So I think the government, if they're going to be so anal about this, look through your history, look through your stuff before they approve you. And not wait for a year to 2 years after you get done and then say, oh, I'm sorry, you have way too much equity. You have to pay this to us. And I don't care if you knew about it. And I don't care if the saving bond says or. It's yours. It doesn't matter. So, the savings bonds. If you have a savings bonds, even if you didn't know about them, they should check and see instead of waiting a year or 2. And if they say or, they don't care about it. They care that your name's on it or a family member's name is on it that's in your family, like your husband, your wife, your kids. It is so screwy. And like my husband was saying, bank accounts. You cannot be a co-owner on a bank account when you're on government assistance because they consider that your money. Even if it's your grandmother's or your mom's money, the government doesn't care.
Because, it'll be their account, not our account. The random family member in Texas's account. You're only on their accounts. That way, if they die, which it happened to me, my brother was killed in a car accident. The only way we got any of the money out of his account was because my dad was on his account. So we did the same thing. We put myself on other family members' accounts as a backup in case any of them perish. Unfortunately, thankfully, it has not happened. But that's what screws you over. Because just having your name exist screws everything over, which is so frustrating.
Oh, very frustrating. And they don't care. You could say, oh, I didn't know about that. What? For me, I feel like when you sign up for anything, SSI, let's just do that as an example. When you sign up for SSI, for me, I would like it if they comb through my stuff to be like, hey, you have this, this, and this. You need to use this up first or get your name off of it before we can approve you because you're over the limit. Oh, you have these bonds. So that way at least you know. And you can go hunt them down, use them, or do what you want with them, Instead of, being in the dark, being there on SSI for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden you get that call, oh, you have this.
Yeah.
Really? Where is it then?
We don't know, but in our system somewhere where we found it says that you owned this.
And they never tell you where they find it, or they never show you the policies. They would just tell you their policies, but they never show it to you. And that drives me crazy. It's like, you're telling me something, show me where it says that. Show me the legal document that it says that. But they don't do that. It is so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So all of you guys out there, listeners, whatever, if you or a loved one or a friend, whoever is trying to get on SSI or need government assistance, know that your name can only be on stuff that you are to use. No saving bonds. Okay, so if you guys have anybody, and I know I'm probably repeating myself, but our kids keep on coming in and bugging us, so we both apologize for the repeating of everything.
But it also always bears repeating because the government will try to find any way to not give you anything.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, if you have anybody, let them know. Ask your family members before you sign up to make sure you don't have anything. They don't have anything in your name, because it might be cool to get that money, and you might have all these different ideas of what you're going to do and how you're going to better your life. But if the government finds any hidden, or they think that there is anything, they will make your life a living hell. So do your research before you do anything.
So here's a good example of how inept that they are for the most part. So I had savings bonds I didn't know about for like 25 years that my aunt had. And I was never told about these savings bonds, but somehow the SSI, Social Security Administration found them and was like, you see these? And we're like, no. She'd be like, no, we don't really know what that is. Well, too bad. Go find them, because right now, since we found these hidden monies that even you didn't know about, and it doesn't matter, you will now owe us 6 months past back pay, which is nearly $6,000. I can't afford that. Well, too bad. So we find these savings bonds. We get a hold of my aunt. She finds them after like a day or two of searching for them because she doesn't even know where they were. Half of them had 3 different names on them, including my own. And then a quarter of them had just 2 names on them, with one of them being my own. So my mother took them all since they were hers, not mine. They all had just my name in case she died. And she cashed them and bought a new put a down payment on a new car. And that happened, and we called them up, like, look, the money was used. It wasn't mine, it was my mom's. Oh, well, too bad. Since your name's on it, it still counts as half of your money. So we're still taking out half of it as yours.
And you have to show us proof that they were cashed. And get this, the receipts from the bank were not proof enough. We literally had to go back to the bank and get a copy of it with the bank stamp on it to say what it was, because they wanted the serial numbers.
They wanted an actual physical picture copy with stamps and everything on every single one. And then after that, after we sent it in saying, hey, look, they were used by my mother since they were hers. Yeah, I understand that. I guess half the money is still going to be considered mine. Hopefully it doesn't put me too much over. Now what happens? Well, it still shows in all of our systems that we're using, which they don't tell us what systems or how they're finding out, that none of them were cashed. But we just gave you proof they were cashed. Well, the government system still says they're not cashed and you're still getting interest on them. We just showed you physical proof. Well, until it clears in the system, it doesn't matter.
And get this, the system that they were using was only a calculator.
A calculator.
Isn't that funny? It was only a calculator.
It was an online calculator to see how much interest you would accrue if you had this type of savings bond.
We even called up the company, the website, and they said, they can't do that. We are only a calculator. We cannot say, and you cannot find out online if these things have been cashed or not. Your bank can only tell you.
Yep.
And then after that, his mom had to write a letter stating that it was hers. She wasn't going to give them to her son. She was never going to allow her son to cash them in or use any of the money. And then they're like, okay, fine. Oh, look at this. There's other bank accounts in your husband's name.
No, not in my name. I was attached to.
Yeah, he was attached to them as a co-owner. Yeah, that's because his parents want to make sure that it's safe for if when they die. Oh, too bad. Since he's a co-owner.
I wasn't a co-owner. I was just on the account as person who could get access to the account.
But they consider it as a co-owner. So, oh yeah, 50% of it's his. And, you know, I need you to send me stuff to show that what money you guys used on it. We're like, none. Too bad. You guys are still going to owe.
I'm like, but I'm not even the owner of it. I don't even take money out. Well, if you can't prove it, but we can. Well, it doesn't matter. Since you're not labeled as just beneficiaries. Wait, that's a thing? Yeah. You can put yourself as a beneficiary in an account, not just be on the account. We were never told there was a difference. Fine, we'll go put myself as a beneficiary on these accounts. So then send proof of that. Well, that wasn't enough because we'd gotten a call today from SSI again saying, hey, look, we found more hidden money. Wait, where and how? Because months ago, your mother opened a savings account so that way your kids could have a college fund and the accounts were in your kid's name. Yeah, that was months ago. She took the money out because she couldn't afford to do it and they needed to pay bills. Doesn't matter. All that money was yours. But it wasn't. It was. It was yours. And now you owe us 7 months back pay. And you'll be kicked off of SSI now for, I don't know, 5-6 months. Maybe you can reapply, but we're going to be garnishing your wages till then anyways. But if I don't have Social Security, the $800 that I was getting, I can't even afford to live where I'm living. Well, that's not our problem. Yeah. Thank you, government.
So really what this rant is about, one, to help me feel better because I felt like crap today. You know, moms and dads, you guys can probably relate, is when you feel like your kids are being attacked, then nothing good can come out of it. And that's how I felt. Even though it's us being attacked, the kids are in jeopardy because if we can't afford this place, we're out on the street. So I had a very crappy day today. So I wanted to rant a little bit. But also, we wanted to help you guys out too. Because if you guys need government assistance, it is a great thing. But they don't tell you everything.
And they don't give you a whole lot.
No.
There's so many hoops to jump through. There's so many things you have to keep track of. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
But when you have kids and you need it, you got to swallow your pride and do it. But when you get these little things and, people like us to help give you some little bit of advice, it could be a little bit easier. So the couple main advices that we can give you is, one, talk to your family, friends of family, whatever, and find out if there's anything in your name. Yeah. And if it's yours, use it first, or find a place to hide it. I don't know. There's no paper trail. Okay? 2, make sure you lay everything out, even if you don't really want to, because they're going to come and get it. And if you have any accounts in your name because you are on it just in case of death, or your mother can't do anything or something, become a beneficiary of it and do it that way, because if you're going to apply, they're going to use that against you. The government is going to use everything and anything they can. Now, I understand why some of these rules are in place, because some people lie, cheat just to get extra money. Yeah. But the majority of us is honest people that just wants to be able to live and do the best for our kids, for our family. And those are the people that I'm talking to right now, that I want to convey this message to, because government assistance can be really good for a limited of time. You don't want to be in it all the time, but while you need it, it's there. But I hate to see or hear or even feel that there's going to be somebody else out there that is going to go through the same thing or is going through the same thing, and they don't know this information.
So get rid of all savings bonds, all checking accounts, CDs, stocks, bonds, dividends, you name it. If you have something in your name that has some kind of cash value to it, even, get this, more than one vehicle. If you have more than one vehicle, it's considered a cash liquid asset.
And they use it against you. Like, we have 2 vehicles. We have a 2010 Mazda, and we have a 1998 Honda. They're using the Honda as $900 against us. It's like, okay, we need 2 vehicles. He needs to go to work. What if there's a emergency? I need to take kids to therapy sessions, school, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, because you have to take the kids to occupational therapy and speech therapy 3 times a week while I'm working, and we need 2 vehicles for that.
Or even 2 vehicles if he's asleep at home. If I take the only one and I end up having to go to the hospital or something, how is he going to get to me? How is he going to get to the kids if we need another vehicle? It's always good to have at least 2 vehicles when you have kids, because you never know. Like last February 2017, I got into a really bad accident, totaled my car. Brandon's car wasn't working. We were at 1 vehicle. He couldn't get to me. Literally, we had to wait for his dad to come down, get him, and bring him.
Which was a 2-hour drive for my dad.
Yeah. So I had to literally on the freeway, sit on the freeway, waiting for a tow truck, and then having to ride in a tow truck with my 2 kids into a parking lot waiting for my mother-in-law to get there. How scary is that? You have 2 little kids and you're in a strange vehicle, somebody you don't know. And just because they're a worker doesn't always mean everybody is safe. And then you just got done with an accident you're already shaken up because of that, and now you're with a stranger riding in the car?
Yeah. But yeah, you need two vehicles, and it's messed up that they consider having two vehicles is not a necessity when you have a large family or anyone more than one person.
Uh-huh. Because you never know. I mean, all you other families or even just couples out there, you can relate when one's gone. It's so hard for the other one to get to you when you need that person. And just because we're out and about doesn't mean we're going to be always safe.
Mm-hmm.
So, government assistance is great and bad at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. If you don't really need it, don't get on it. But if you do really need it, then do it. It took me literally 2 years after we found out about our oldest being autistic to get on.
Social Security check. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't convinced that she was totally autistic. Yes, now I am, because certain events that happened, but I wasn't back then. And I wasn't going to take money. Now I kind of wish I didn't apply for it, but we need it.
Yeah. And we can't afford where we're living, paying a whole $1,200 a month without the $800 we're getting, because only one of us can work. The other one has to watch the autistic child.
Yeah.
Because you cannot afford someone to babysit autistic children, because disabled children cost 3 times as much to watch than a regular. Go ahead, try it.
Well, they are a lot more work, but for me, I think it is worth it. I would never change our oldest for anything. I love her too much.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would literally cost more to have our children in a daycare or being babysat by someone personally because the oldest is autistic than for my wife to work. It would cost more. Mm-hmm. And that's sad.
And get this. Speaking of that, some of you out there might be saying, well, why doesn't your go to school? Have you guys ever been in or even heard about the public school system special needs class? It's more of a babysitting class. More kids get worse inside their classroom and they bring it home than they do if you homeschool them or put them in a charter school. School districts is more of a babysitting. They don't want to teach those kids because it's hard to teach them.
Yeah.
Get that, it's like, okay, so what are we supposed to do? You have 2 choices. A, one stays home and teaches that child the way you want them to, or B, they go to school and you have to deal with all these behaviors and your fun time becomes, don't do that, no, stop, okay, let's calm down. And you count down the hours until it is bedtime. And then bedtime's a whole different story. With a lot of special needs kids, it's the worst time to get them ready for bed because they don't want to go to bed because their little brains have not shut down yet.
Calm down to go to sleep, yeah. It's a train wreck. I mean, the only way I feel to have autistic children and to still be able to survive financially is to be wealthy. Because if you're poor, there's no way of getting out of it. I mean, it feels like there's no way to get above ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and speaking of being poor, I mean, if you're wealthy, like really wealthy, millions of dollars, then that's one thing, because then you can afford good insurance, you can afford all of the therapy. But if you're middle class or even upper class, how much is your insurance? It's through the roof, and then that means you come into a different set of problems. If you have to pay, say for a family of 4, you're paying $600 a month for insurance for all 4 of you. You have copays. Your autistic child has to have therapies 3-4 times a week at $20 a copay. That's a lot of money, and middle class and upper class people can't afford it. So what do? If you're poor, you get free insurance and it pays for everything. So you are in the middle right there.
So the government makes it so that it's easier to be poor than it is to be middle class. If you're poor, you get free Denti-Cal, Medi-Cal. You don't have to pay for anything for the most part. Most things are covered. And so is your child's, visits to, therapy. And for a therapist to come over to your house and help your kid, called ABA therapy, abnormal behavior assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They help with controlling meltdowns and teaching the parents how to deal with the meltdowns.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, only I'm working. I work a minimum wage job. And I looked at the, monetary allotment for the month. If I make $300 more a month, we're kicked off of Medi-Cal, government assistance, and everything. So then, if I made $300 more a month, I'd have to pay for my own health care. Health care for a family of four, which you have to have, as of the last law, would cost $600. That's a minimum of the lowest I found. $600 just for Medi-Cal. That's not including dental or any of the therapy visits my autistic daughter has to go to, or any of the speech therapy she also has to go to as well. It's easier and necessary to be poor now. But at the same time, they don't want you to have any savings, anything to safeguard against accidents or emergencies. They need you to stay as poor as you can to be on their assistance. But if you're not on their assistance, everything costs 3 times as much, which it doesn't make any sense.
So technically, you're actually poor.
Poor. So bottom line is, if you have special needs family members in any way, shape, or form, be poor. It's the only way you'll survive. Because if you have 2 jobs, and if you think that you can survive, it won't happen.
You have too much therapy and too much stuff, too much money will be going out, because if you think about it, most co-pays is between $20 to $30. And for ABA, at least for my child, they come out 3 times a week. So that would be, at 20, it would be $60 a week. That's a lot of money. It doesn't sound like a lot. Oh yeah, $60. Times that by 4.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. And then you don't get food stamps, so you have to pay for food. So you still are in the same boat, but actually worse. Because you have to pay for everything.
Yeah, so it's $240 a month just for the ABA therapist to come to the house to do therapy. Then we have to go 3 times a week out to other different city, which is like 4 cities away from us. Takes us like 40 minutes to get there. 3 times a week. And if we had to pay for that, if we had to pay for health insurance, that was, we said, like, if it's $20 a visit and it's 3 times a week, it's $60. So that's another $240 a week. So that is, let's see, 240 would be $480.
But that only depends on if all of the therapies is in the same place and is in the same time. Like our oldest daughter, she has speech at one place, OT at another place. So technically that would be $40 a day if you did it that way.
Well, we'll just stick with it quick, easy. Well, it's $480 a month, right? And that's just to pay for her therapy. That's still not paying if we had to pay for health insurance. That's an extra $600. So it's over $1,000 because, other things.
Yeah.
Just in medical stuff.
Yeah. I saw one time, because we go through the Inland Valley Regional Center. I had to think of what the name of it was. And every so often they'll send me like a little kind of a breakdown of what everything cost. One year it was over $5,000 for 1 month. For 1 month.
So it's $5,000 a month?
For like ABA. Just for the one little thing. Before my insurance took over ABA, the regional center was paying for it, and they were sending me to show me. They were like, oh, this ain't a bill, but I guess they had to send it to everybody. And it was like $5,000 for 1 month. I was like, I would never, ever be able to pay for that unless I was a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is ridiculous. So if you think about it that way, that's a lot of money. So being poor to be on free health insurance is the only way to survive with a special needs kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's... unless you're making $50 an hour and both of you are working, you can't afford it. And special needs children are making a rise throughout the decades because of our environment.
Yeah.
Environment plays a huge role between, you've heard of Prop 60 where everything contains lead and chemicals. I mean, even Starbucks now has the same thing. We're like, yeah, the way we process our coffee, make our beans also causes cancer, so have fun with that. And other, birth defects, reproductive harm. It's like anything you touch now has either birth defects or reproductive harm. Every stupid thing. Even your antibacterial soap causes cancer. No one knows that. Unless you look into it.
That's why Bath and Body Works stopped doing my favorite soap. Because people were complaining about it.
Mm-hmm. So, this is a rant about how government assistance can be needed, but ridiculous. Hoops you have to go through. They have no feeling, no remorse, no care about the individual. You're just a number.
Yeah. But I do gotta say one thing about this. The people that you talk to, they're only following their guidelines and what they have to keep their job. Just like when you go to the store, the person that's checking you out, they're only following what the owner of that store wants.
Yeah.
So, especially through this hard time that my husband and I are going through, we just have to think it's not actually the person that is doing it that's telling me this stuff. It's the person that or persons that made these ridiculous rules. And I can bet my life that the ones that are making these rules has, one, never had a child, probably never been around children, and definitely has never been really around special needs children or adults.
To me, on top of it, it's even worse is all the people who make all these rules and decisions and policies are lawmakers who have never been, that I know of, have never really been poor, has never had financial hardship. That's why they keep cutting senior citizen Social Security benefits. They keep cutting food stamps. And now we have one of the newer Senate members, I think it is, or the House, who's like, yeah, if you're on food stamps, you should have a job and you should make more money than we should be giving you. It's like, but if we were making more money than you're giving us, then we wouldn't have to be on assistance to begin with. So it's like, I want to say they're heartless, but it's more because they don't have the experience of what, people who don't have money have to go through.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the thing, you work in this corporation, you work at this job, and you start out the low man on the totem pole. You work your way up. Now, question, when you get to the top, do you remember what it was like when you were at the bottom? 90% of managers, they forget what it was like, and it turns them into this person that thinks that they know everything, but then they forget that, oh, I had the same struggle when I was down there. Or they got to the top without going through those hoops, and so they don't know. Just like all of these laws pertaining to kids, I can bet my life again that the people that are making these laws pertaining to kids has not had a kid, not been with by kids, so they don't know the hardships that we go through. Now, I do not condone any being mean to kids, violence on kids, or anything, because I love kids. I love my kids. I want to protect all kids. But there is a line drawn. Just like this whole thing about you can't spank your child. Anybody that's in their 30s was spanked when they were a kid.
Yep, and I'm not a serial killer.
Yeah, we are good. I actually am thankful that my parents did that. Showed me that there's consequences. Because if they didn't, I might be in jail. Because I didn't know. I wouldn't have known. 90% of the people in jail, they probably were brought up the way the government is saying the kids should be brought up.
Pain-free?
Yep.
I don't know how to put it, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. Because it feels like all these other kids are being raised nowadays, being the whole hands-free approach,
Yeah. Oh, don't do that, sweetie. No, don't. Oh, you're not going to have a cupcake. Oh, look, here's your cupcake. Oh, okay, you stopped. Here you go. No. Now, don't get me wrong. I will be at the store and I'll be like, okay, you do that again, you get an X. But I'm not one to give them what they want if they get their 3 X's. Because dealing with taking care of regular kids and special needs kids is a little different. Like
very different.
Yeah, like my youngest, my non-special needs child. I will look at her and be like, you do that again, and you will not get it. You will get an automatic 3 X's. For my autistic child, I'll be like, okay, if I've told her like 100 times, I'll be like, okay, that's an automatic 2 X's right now.
After 3 X's, they get in some sort of trouble.
Whatever they want, they didn't get. Like if they want to watch YouTube, they get 3 X's, they don't get to watch it. They wanted a piece of pie. Nope, you don't get that. If they wanted to do an art project, nope, you don't get that. There is some ways you can do the whole hands-off approach, because a lot of times, we do that, but you got to find out what it works. But you can't be like, no, don't do that. No. It's like, no, don't do that. Stop it right now.
And if you do find yourself needing to use the whole, it's called corporal punishment. What's a terrible way of putting it? But if you have to spank your kid because if they're not listening with your words or they don't understand your words, just don't bruise your kids or make them cry for 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be painful. It just has to, my dad always put it to me, it just has to scare you. I don't have to beat the ever living crap out of you. Just scare you so you stop doing something that's either potentially deadly to yourself or dangerous to everybody else.
Yeah.
Or if you're being a little tiny fucking shit inside a fucking Walmart.
If you know your kids, if you truly know your kids, you know how to get to them. Like my youngest. I'll just have to look at her and say, oh, you're going to make daddy sad. Boom. Whatever she's doing, she stops because her daddy is her whole world. And making daddy sad is not in their description for her. Anytime daddy goes, looks at her and starts to talk to her in his deep voice, she will literally start bawling. I mean, tears everything just by him looking at her with that look like he is so sad with her. And my oldest, she does not like it when she wants to work for something and she loses it. So after the second X, she normally stops what she's doing.
And when we mean by working for it, we don't mean child labor. We mean like listening, doing what you're told, not punching or kicking or biting her younger sister or screaming at the top of her lungs into somebody's ear.
Oh, God, that hurts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Again, oldest daughter is autistic, so that hurts.
Can I whisper in your ear? Are you going to whisper? Yes. Mom! That's not a whisper.
Yeah, that's called an ruptured eardrum. Thank you.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's that. So, we're so frustrated because, like I said, the government's saying we owe them now over $6,000 for something we didn't know what was there, didn't think it would be a problem. We weren't trying to hide any money from the government.
If we knew about the savings bonds, if we knew about all this money or knew that Brandon being on the account was going to hurt us, it would have been done and over a long time ago, even before I finally made up my mind to be on SSI.
To get $800 a month for our disabled kids so we could afford rent. But now we can't. Now we can't afford rent. Now we're going to be homeless probably within next month. So we're going to do everything we can to try to not be homeless and not have our kids taken away because we'd be homeless. But it's an uphill battle. I mean, trying to argue with the government, saying that you're good people and that you're not trying to lie, cheat, and steal is like trying to tell a brick wall that you want the equation to everlasting life.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Brick wall's not going to tell you anything.
Or it's like getting your children, even just regular children, to listen to you on the first time.
That doesn't happen.
Now, if any of you guys out there are parents and you think you have a child that listens to you at your first time, please record them and upload it to my husband's Twitter. Did you say you have, honey?
Yes, Twitter.
Twitter, so I can see that because I would love to. And let us know how you get them to do it on the first try. Because so far, for every single mom, dad I have met in my almost 8-year journey of being a mom, has not figured out how to get their kids to listen on the first try without bribery.
And my Twitter account is at KineOfSoy. KYNEOFSOY. That's me.
And you know what? Guys, people, women, whatever you guys.
You can be gender fluid, doesn't matter. We're cool.
Yeah. If you guys we don't have it all figured out. We don't have marriage all figured out. We don't have parenting all figured out.
We got marriage all figured out. But it's do as my wife says and everyone will be happy.
Okay, so he has it all figured out.
It's easy.
I love him so much. But if you guys ever want to ask us a question, feel free to ask on his Twitter, and we will try to answer it the best we can, either on the Twitter or we will do a podcast of answering everybody's question.
Yeah, we call those AMAs, Ask Me Anything.
And if I don't want to answer it, I'll be like, too bad, not answering that.
Wouldn't be the first time I've asked you a question you said that.
No.
Yeah. But, anyways. So, yeah. Well, thank you for filling in for our absentee co-host who has other things he has to be doing at the moment. He also has a busy life, somehow. I don't know how, but he does. And hopefully he'll come back again some other time so that way maybe all three of us can do something. Podcast-wise. We're not going to play Pinochle because that's just weird.
Yeah, it's just them. You and George.
We don't play Pinochle.
Yeah, I know you like to spoon.
What does that have to do with anything I just said?
Isn't this Ramble On? So I can say whatever I want. Tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's just sitting there probably playing a game.
No. Shush.
Never. And he's smiling. He's got the biggest smile on his face right now.
It's not the biggest.
Yeah, you're right. It's medium size, but it's still a smile.
Isn't that what you said on our wedding night?
Oh, I said a lot of things on our wedding night. I think I just got him to where he's speechless.
No, I'm just trying to remember. What was it? 17 years ago. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. It's been wonderful.
So I'm just trying to think. Did you really say any of those? No.
I don't know.
I don't think she did. The only thing I remember is, stop. Give me a minute. It's a little big. Just give me a second here to take this all in. It's going to take a while. I'm like, I know. It's not my fault. But I think that's going to be it for this week's version of Ramble On. Thanks for listening to our rant about government assistance.
And thanks for putting up with the interruptions and their repeating. We will talk to you guys soon.
Whether you want us to or not. That's it for this week. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.